Good morning. Welcome to the world. Thanks for logging in today, guys. And in today's stream, we are going to take a look at the state of the project. I've added a scheduling service, just something simple so that the employees can simply clock in and clock out. And then I asked AI. I used the uh, Junie Junie Pro. Am I saying that right? Um, I asked it to add a email module or an email service to the project, so that that way, when uh, new customers register, that we can. I wanted to be able to send them a welcome email. When they created a service ticket, I wanted coffee check. Sorry, got distracted when I saw the word coffee. Coffee check is full and dark as my soul. Now I lost where I was, dude. Good job. Um, so I asked AI to create. I gave it a little bit of insight. I told it to analyze my code base and uh, to build out a plan. I still have the history here. I don't. When I rebooted, it disappeared. There's no way to find a history? Oh, damn. Oh, wait, recent. Is that it there? Can I just click on that? Oh, there it is. All right. So I uh, I asked it to plan out, because AI is great with planning things out now. I asked it to plan out an email service, so that I can so that I would be able to so that that way I would be able to send a customer an email when they first join, so that we can say, "Hey, welcome to the Midnight Technician. Thank you for logging into the world." Um, when they create a service ticket, I want to be able to be like, "Hey, here's confirmation that your ticket was sent." When a technician claims the ticket, I would like to be able to send an email saying, "Hey, your ticket is now being looked at by technician so and so." And I would like to be able to um, send an update whenever there's been a note added, or send I wanted to be able to send emails to give people progressive updates, as well as I also wanted a way that my scheduling service that I just added could fire out weekly emails to email each employee their schedule for the week, so to speak. Um, Now, I depending on how this went, how this goes, I'm gonna ask it to. I'm gonna ask it next. My cat just jumped on my chair. This guy, oh, like, get off my cords. For everybody that has a rubber duck, I have a cute cat. I talk to this guy when I code all the time. This guy is my rubber duck. He knows just as much of the project as I do. You get right. You a midnight coder too? I don't know if you guys can hear him purring right now through my microphone. This guy has like the loudest purr on a cat that I've ever heard. That being said, distracted by cats. If you guys have some animals at home that like to cuddle on your lap while you code, give me a thumbs up. I got about 6 of them that like to switch up and go between laps. All right, so let's take a look and see what AI did. So if I switch this up and we get rid of my big head, maybe put me down in the corner, maybe kindly, maybe kind of, sort of. There we go. All right, so here you can see that I went through and I asked it to add an email service. It went through and gave me an initial proposal, which was, you know, good. It wound up asking me some questions down here. I said that pretty much go ahead, gave it some instructions. It said thanks for the clarification. Then it tells me that it's going to use SES for the email service, so it's going to use some Amazon Web Services. I told it that I haven't used that before because I haven't, and gave me a little rundown, kind of explaining what it is and how it works. And then it asked me for my SES region, which I'm just going to say US East. That seems fair enough. Gave it the other OKs, and then it cooked. It came through, did its thing, changed some stuff, yada yada. Then it came back and gave me the integration plan. Gave me the integration plan here, where it again just ran over the idea of what was going to go on, how we're going to go about things, this, that, and the other. And then it continued to cook. And it continued to cook. It ran itself a build, so it made sure that, stuff was working or built properly. It told me it was done, and it gave me an explanation of what it was that was done, what was added, all the files that were added, modified, changed, yada yada. Like, this was pretty impressive to watch this thing cook. I'm not gonna lie. I've never asked AI to build something like this before or do this. Usually it's like, generate me a Java doc, or I'm too lazy to write this code. Can you spin me up something quick that I can modify and go with, as kind of like cookie cutter stuff. But I've never asked it to full out write something before. This was kind of cool, and there was 3 of us in a group chat yesterday, as we were kind of amazed watching this thing go through. And I must say, it was pretty impressive to watch it go through. And it also used up just less than 1 token on my IntelliJ AI thing. This is Junie. I don't know. It was the first time I ever used Junie. It was pretty impressive. I was pretty pleased with it. Although now that I'm in here, I don't know how to get out of here. Oh, I just click Start New Task. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that was the only thing I've ever asked this thing to do. Which, again, not gonna lie, it was pretty impressive to watch it cook. So there is the scheduling service that I did, which, again, just more or less allowed people to clock in, clock out. We'll go over that later. This is the email service that it wrote. So why are all of these white? They're not even tracked. Yeah, they're not even tracked files. Why are they? Okay, anyway, sorry, that's just me being confused. There we go, now they're red. Okay, Jesus. Didn't know what the hell was going on. So this is where it built out and I was actually pretty impressed that it followed a similar schema that I have for other build files, but it added Kafka for Spring 4. It added Starter Web. It added Timeleaf. Got some Amazon Web Services going here. Metrics, I don't know why it added some metrics to it. Caffeine cache. I like caffeine. What else we got going on here? Jackson for data. Yeah. Lombok and testing. I don't know if it generated any tests. Doesn't look like it. All right, so Kafka config. That's not bad. That's not bad. It did also edit this, and it added 2 more configs for the analytics aspect. Cool. That's not too bad. Follow the same schemas. Okay. Consumer config and producer configs. Okay, so this is where we're listening. Oh, this one a little bit further than I've done. So this one here is creating the factory with consumer, like I was doing, but then it looks like it's all. Then it looks like it is also adding some error handling. Okay. Error handling is a good thing. Routing to the proper partition. Error handle. Cool. I don't see anything wrong with adding in error handling. I believe these are milliseconds, so it's an interval of 1 second with a maximum of 5 seconds. I believe these are milliseconds that they take in. Of course, you're not gonna. Oh, download sources. Default max interval. Max interval. Yeah, it's in milliseconds. Okay. So we're setting up the initial interval to be 1 second with a maximum of 5 for error handling. And we're having a multiplier of 2. You know what? I'm not exactly sure what this external backoff class even is. Instance with the default image. Yeah, it's okay. Here we go. So implementation of backup, backoff that increases the backoff period of each attempt. Okay, so it just sort of spaces off retries. Cool. So let's continue looking through here. Producer looks basically the same as other ones I've done. Am I getting 2 mappers? No, not 2 mappers. Okay. So we're adding in the date, right? We're adding the date module so that it's backward compatible with Java 8 times. Then we're configuring the SES client. Looks like we're pulling it. Oh yeah, we're pulling in the email. Didn't even look at that. Okay. So this service is not even going to run on a port because there's no actual controller to it. There's no way to host or like put anything here. There's no web aspect. That being said, I do see that it added a group here, but it didn't seem to actually, like, I probably would have made another private variable here and pulled that in. Because I mean, it pulled this one in, but it didn't pull in this. But yet it still used this. Right here. So I probably would have added another one of these, and fuck it, let's do it. So I probably would have duplicated this and just called this group ID. And from there, I would have stuck this down here. And this guy is technically this guy. So we'll copy that. Oh. No! Go to the right spot. Okay, so there. So that's something I would have done there, just to ensure, you know, we're using the property we built and we're not just adding something useless. Kind of like this email provider. So it looks like it's set up a from email from the midnight technician at noreply.com. And the from name looks like it's just midnight technician. I'm happy with that. And then it's setting up the US East as the default, which again, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So I don't see anything majorly game-breakingly wrong right now with this. Okay, so let's look at the email service that it's got going on here. So an email analytics producer. So this is looking to produce information to the analytics queue. So this is giving us whenever we're I guess when we're preparing an email. So it's in the pending status. Oh, okay, I'm jumping ahead if I'm going into there. Okay, and then down here when one is sent, and then by the looks of it again when one is failed. Okay, okay, that looks pretty good. So email provider, this looks like it is cool. So if okay, so this is publishing, which is just sending the Kafka event. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So we're passing. Okay, I'm fine with that. Email request listener. So this guy is listening for when emails get sent so that we can track it. Although, why is it adding the record that we're never using? What? What is the point of this? What is the point of this record, AI? Okay, so email, it's getting the email. If it's null or blank, then we're gonna have fallback for unknown. Okay. But if it's an unknown email, okay, so if it's an unknown email, how we say, okay, whatever. We'll see what that does. So, so this is our, what? Okay, service. If it's been processed. Okay, so if it's already in processing, that's cool. We're gonna then just say that there was a duplicate so we don't send the same shit twice. Otherwise, we're going to log that we're sending an email and we're actually going to publish it as pending. And then we go to try. Okay, perfect. I wonder if we're keeping track of time so we can do like a latency check. No, we're not. Cool. Might have to see how this works and play with that later. Um, so the host is looking for uh, the renderer template, which did we even didn't even look at that. Okay, so this is the email template renderer. So it is basically looking for emails under, okay. So this is specifically looking for the emails under the template down here. Okay, that's cool. And what? Email provider is then going to send the email, and that's when we're then going to mark it as processed, and we're going to publish a sent event. And if things fail, we're going to catch it, log it, and then send a publish failed event. Perfect. Okay, cool. I like that. I like that. Otherwise, we're just going to throw the exception and just... Cool. I am happy with that. Curious to how this is going to run, and also I'm curious to why the hell we have a record that we're just like, I don't know. All right. I don't know why we added it if it's unused, but we did. So here we are. Email request listener template. Okay, so this is the service for sending. Looks like we have a maximum size. Expire rights after 24 hours. Maximum size of 100,000. Okay, if it's processed. Sender. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So this is having the from address and the from name. It takes in the client. Okay. And that is provided through the Amazon services? Yes, okay. All right, and then we have a send method. So duration or destination duration. Destination. I probably would have used var a little more often in here, just personal preference, but whatever. Destination. And da-da. The body, we're going to build the body from the HTML request, which is pulling it out of the body. Okay, there we go. And then we're coming down here to get the message itself, adding the subject, the body, and building it. This is building the header. And then down here we have the email request builder. And if reply to is not null and reply to is not blank, we're going to add the reply to address. I like that we're adding the addresses in case there might be more. No, it's just a straight up string. Why do we have that collection of a single whatever? All right, and then we have the response. Then we have the response down the bottom when we're returning just the ID. Cool, I'm happy with that. Let's take a look at these email templates. Oh, wow. That is very bland. Welcome to the Midnight Technician. Welcome, so-and-so. Like, okay. Sure. Wow, that's bland. Weekly schedule. Employee name, week start, da, 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 this to this. Table, apparently we're adding a bunch of stuff that is obsolete. Okay, we're adding a table, day start, and location. Cool. The shifts, do those even... Did you even check the schedule? 'Cause I don't think shift... Yeah, shift does not consist of... There's day, there's start time, there's end time, but there's definitely not a location. Okay. Okay, so you dropped the ball there. Looks like it dropped the ball there a little bit. Hello and welcome, Christian. You just found out. Since you just found the channel, you're a beginner to Spring Boot backend development, but have done Android development for a few indie projects. How do I contribute to this project? Guidance regarding this. There is an outdated setup guide, as well as in the project itself, there is a README that you can kind of browse through. It talks a little bit about the project. It talks about the stack in the project, as well as it explains how you can get started. You can just clone the project, get yourself all set up in the back end. You will need to create a Sentry account so that you can get some information from Sentry for logging. Um, the if you were to watch the video that I made about the setup guide, it walks through how to get your Sentry information and where to plug that in. Um, the project has changed drastically since that initial video. So now that it's a little less alpha, a little more beta, things are a little bit more stable. I will be making a new video explaining how you can get the project, get set up from scratch, how you can go about making a feature branch so that you can go ahead and make contributions, create pull requests, and explain all that stuff. But as of right now, there is a README that needs to get a little bit more updated as well, and I might just provide a copy paste script here instead of telling you to do this, do this, do this, do this. I might just provide a big old copy paste that you can just drop into the database console and have everything go at once. Um, However, welcome to the channel, Christian. I hope that I see that you say that you've done some back-end Android development before. When you were doing Android development, were you doing Java or Kotlin? All right, so I am going to remove this location because there's absolutely no need of it. Um, Shift day, yeah, that's right. Start time is, you know, right one, and then end time is the right one here. So I feel like that is at least needs proper naming. Shift and shifts, so that's what we're going to be passing in that. Okay. Now I got to see where it is that where in the hell does this... Okay, so where is the renderer? So template renderer. Okay, so here's the... No. Maybe? I don't even know. The view is this. The context is the variable. Hmm. So this template engine. Oh, that's an actual timely thing. So is this how I pass in all of my stuff to the model view? I guess it must be. Basic non-web implementation. Context valid for most non-web scenarios. I have to look into that. I have to look into that because I might be adding it to the context. Sorry, I'm just trying to see where it is that we're getting these different variable names that we're plugging in here, because usually we stick it into a model in the when we're rendering it like a web page or like a template. We just pass it into the model view and add it in as an attribute. But I assume that's the same thing here because we have this map of models, and I assume that the string value is like the key is like the what we call it, and the object is the value. So makes me wonder if okay, so render, when am I calling this? Here's when I'm doing this, and this is the request template data. So the email request and the template data, okay. Where are we filling this template data? Where do we fill this? Okay, so it comes in when we produce it. Wait, okay, and nowhere is producing it yet. Okay, okay, cool. Didn't even give me a usage example, AI. Probably should have asked it to provide a usage example. Oh, it's probably my own error, user fault. Um, cool. Can I go back into that chat? I come back into here and ask it to um let's see if I can ask this to do something here. I'm gonna tell it to do think mode because I want it to not just flop this out. But thank you. Can you provide me an example usage using the uh ticketing service for when we create a ticket, as well as an example from the customer service when we are creating a new customer record. Cool. Let's see if it can do this, guys. We'll see if AI can update its work or add to its work. So this might take a minute, but sit back and enjoy the coffee. Well, microservices are essentially just if you were to think of object-oriented programming, um, where we have an object that handles one task and one thing. A microservice is basically one application that is simply turned on to do one task or one thing. So let's say that there is a company out there, a restaurant that decides it has a chain. It's a chain company, like say McDonald's. How there's, I don't know, thousands upon thousands of McDonald's scattered around the world. They all make up the one product that is McDonald's or one business. However, there are different stores in different countries. They all have their own employees, their own management staffs, their own sort of records and databases and whatever of their own thing. That is sort of like microservices. They're a bunch of little individual standalone applications or services that do something. But they all are just a small minor cog in the bigger machine, or the one small unit in the bigger application. Um, They communicate to each other through HTTP requests if they need instant or fast, like right away responses. Otherwise, they generally communicate by listening to message queues so that they can just pluck things out of the queue and handle them accordingly. The difference between the two is that if one service is down for maintenance or gets down for an update and we're in the middle of spinning it up, so like if that takes 60 seconds to bring down and bring up, then if you're say an email service that is sending off emails and notifications like by the thousands per minute, then you potentially have thousands of emails that just got lost due to the fact that the service was down and and no HTTP requests could be gone because you're going to get a 400 error that there's nothing there, or 404 error that not found. So the message queue that gets stuck in the middle is basically a way that you can stick things into a queue and not worry about the response. You don't care. You don't need to know. You just know that this happened. Move it down the conveyor because something else has to handle that. Um, and now, when a service goes down, and then once it comes back up, it's going to start listening to that queue again, and it's going to process everything that was missed. So things don't get lost, they just get delayed, if you would think about it that way. Um, so message queues are a very, very good thing to have. Um, and the reason I like Kafka over a service like RabbitMQ is simply because it will keep track, or sorry, it will keep the record. Things like RabbitMQ, for example, if I remember correctly, it's been like a decade since I've used it. When you listen to the queue in Rabbit, um, as soon as you pull that topic out or you pull that message out of the queue, it's gone. Nothing else can hear it. Nothing else can listen to it. It's been taken. It's been handled. It's gone. With Kafka, it keeps track of that, so I can have multiple services listening to the same queue, and when one plucks the service, the other ones aren't SOL shit out of luck. They can still pluck the same thing because the event or the message still persists and still exists within the actual ecosystem. So that's kind of the bonus of Rabbit of Kafka over Rabbit. Um, I also like that IntelliJ has this built-in Kafka module where I can easily get myself connected and see everything from the producers to the consumers, um, And if I wanted to, I can listen into the queues and uh, create a, yeah, okay. So here's where I can see all of my topics here that are created. I can see how many messages are in the queues, how many partitions, and partitions right now for development purposes. Um, I'm only using one partition and one replica, but generally in production, you would have, say, three productions and three replicas. That's just so that you have redundancy. In development purposes, you don't necessarily care so much about the redundancy because it's a development environment. It's not really a big deal, so to speak. Um, so usually when I write in development, um, I'll have one and one. But if this once we go and talk a little bit more about DevOps and CI/CD, we'll talk about how to get a little more production ready, and that's where we'll um, actually make some different property files for the different environments, and we'll make an application properties which falls under the default category when there's no profile provided. But then we'll also create an application height dash dev dot properties and an application dash prod um, and an application dash test. These are so that we can have different environments set up, whether it be our testing environment, our development environment, or our production environment. That way we know that everything is good and we just simply are changing things like maybe development, we're using an H2 database instead of a Postgres database. Um, but yet staging or testing, we want to use an actual Postgres database and make sure everything is good, and then things of that nature. If you'd like to know more about doing in a group environments, let me know and in the comments, or let me know in Discord, or however you want to let me know. I will write up. I'll come together with a little video to explain it. Down here, I can also see my consumers. So I've only got a couple of consumers here. Um, I've got a couple of consumers here at the moment. Once we get this turned on, there'll be an email service. But these here allow me to go into the analytics service, and I can see that my analytics service it's listening to things like the user registered, user service ticket created, closed, updated, and claimed. And of course, we've added some new ones thanks to June. Um, so let's look at the rest of these. So the welcome one seems pretty bland. So we'll probably either beef that up myself, or I will ask another AI to take a swing at generating a better um, welcoming. The weekly schedule looks all right. Again, um, we'll see what that looks like. Ticket has been updated. Okay, so here we're saying your ticket number so and so. Hello, customer. Your ticket has been updated. Updated fields. Oh, cool. So we'll be able to say that, like, well, updated notes. And then we are providing them a time that it's been updated. Okay, that's pretty cool. We can work with that, I suppose. Same thing for created. We give them a little summary of their email by the looks of it, or it looks like it's just an issue summary. Um, but again, I can work with that. I can build from that. That's not exactly the best, or clearly the emails were bare bone and basic in this case. So we can work with that. We can work with that. Um, analytic. I'm curious. Let's see if this whole project builds now. So we'll make sure everything's good and clean. Looks like we're all squeaky clean. So now we're going to come in here and we are going to run our cluster of services. So let's just take a minute while this compiles and then watch it spin up our, what is it, 8 services or 9 services? Gotta count that. I do have a couple of videos on the channel. Looks like my email service crapped out. Oh, port 8080. Ha, because the default port was used. Okay. So I do have to go in and specify that. Apparently it didn't. Okay, so we're gonna have to give this. This was port. What was the last one I used? 6? Scheduling. What were you? Okay, so we're gonna copy this guy, go into here, drop this here, and we'll change this guy to 7. Why is there 2 of these? Email service and email service. Let's delete one of these. We don't need 2 of them, and then let's try to rerun the email service. Oh, it turned on. Okay. So, as for AI, it compiled and it ran without a problem. Looks like it ran without a problem. And it's listening to a few things. Successfully joined. Okay, so it created the perfect. Partitions are assigned. Everything looks like it's good. So if we double check our little Kafka side here and refresh it, there is the email service, midnight email service, listening. We pop in here, there is just email send request in here. That's fine. And if we take a look at our topics, there are a cluster, and there is a new one for email send request, email sent analytic. Yeah, just those 2. Okay, perfect. Perfect. That looks pretty good. But now, just because it looks good, does it work? Will I get an email? Will I get an error? Let's find out. Oh yeah, right. I asked it to do something. Okay. So, what did it do here? What did it do? Okay, where did I... Oh, okay, so here was me saying thanks and then asking it for it to do shit. Looks like it did this, and it edited the structure of email sent request. Where's that at? That must have been in the shared directory. Yep, email sent request. So it did something in here. I don't even know what. And it says that it finished. Whoa. Okay, so what did it do? just going to pop into here. Okay, so the midnight technician email, blah, 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 blah. So it added an email sent analytic. Okay. Okay. But I'm not seeing where it, what? Um, I think it just more or less gave me an example and didn't actually write it into the code base. Just looking at it, or click to expand, it looks like it's just providing me classes and like, this is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. So now I'm asking it to go ahead and implement that. So yeah, below are ready to use examples. Copy paste all this shit. I'm not copy and pasting that. All right. So let's see this do its work and come out with hopefully something useful. All right, guys. While this thing is cooking on its way here, I am going to make a quick little coffee break and fill up my cup. I will be back in just a moment. Let's see what our dear buddy comes up with. Apparently, I could top up my coffee and be back before June is ready. You probably can't see what's going on because of my the placement of my head, but it is cooking along. It is doing a bit of a transcription. You can see that up here above my head. Um, this is doing its thing. It's like having my own personal intern, except this intern gets paid because he eats up tokens. All right, what are we doing? How are we coming? Come on, June. Juno, Juno, Juno. Thanks for the subscription, Christian. Welcome to the Midnight family. If you'd like to get involved too, we do have a Discord community where I actively stream throughout the day about what I'm doing. I'm actively in the voice chats, um, and I do my best to get the community involved in whatever it is that I'm working on. And honestly, after this Midnight Technician application is done, the software is written. Um, I'll be using it for some examples while I create some new videos showing how we can improve upon what is here. I kind of specifically left out some things, like, for example, our microservices in the back end, which do use HTTP requests, currently has no security um, for the communications. There is no checks to see if there's any kind of applicable tokens or anything. So I plan to show people how they can use just a simple token to provide some security, and how simple Spring 7 and Spring Boot 4 make it. Um, the other thing I intend to do as well is, I've also intentionally left out a couple of other aspects because I want to show it as well. And I'd also had specifically left um, the logout as broken as it is, so that I can show you guys how we can go about and handle logging a person out, and how we can make sure to follow best practices and clear the cookies, clear the session, and make sure that we clean house as after we have our person or customers or employees log out for the day. Um, that being said, I also in intentionally left it as a session based logins, intentionally, so that I can turn around and come back and show you guys how to take um, an existing system and upgrade it to using JWT, or JSON Web Tokens, so that we can have some different different ways of securing the application. I also would like to eventually show you how you can make single sign-on. So, for example, how we can make it so that people can just sign in with GitHub, um, and have an account and whatnot be created for them. Because I know that that's also something that some people sort of struggle with, and sort of I've had some people ask me how I've done it in the past. Single sign-on is definitely a very useful skill to have. And again, the whole purpose of this application is to introduce junior developers into um, an easy to access ecosystem. I'm taking advantage of all the modern tech that I can. So we're using Java 25 as it's the newest release. We're using Spring Boot 4 and Spring Framework 7, so that we have the latest. Um, and I pretty much intend to set this up as if it was a Spring Boot 3 program, so to speak. And that way we can go through all of the new features that come in. For example, I would love to do a video going forward about how we can upgrade our versioning for our API from the path-based variables of just API slash V1 slash whatever, to show how Spring has introduced a new way to version your applications, where you can either allow version 1.0.0 or like 1.0 or whatever, but you can also do a custom way where you can make your own. You can continue to, or we can continue to use the V1, um, but we no longer have to pass it in as an actual parameter value inside of our controller. So Spring has made some leaps and bounds and huge improvements, and I intend to do my best to set this up as an easy to enter into project, and then build on it from there, showcasing how to go about implementing these into an already existing project. So for those of you that read through this project and think that it looks like somebody that was autistic threw it together in a weekend, um, that was kind of the goal. And now the idea is to build up from it, and then I can explain, this is a source, this is a project, here's how we level our game up, and here's how we implement best practices, follow some best principles, and how we can take advantage of some of the latest tech and latest advantages of Java 25, of Spring Boot, and Spring Framework in general. And this is a very long-winded talk because I'm sort of just trying to not leave the dead silence while June is doing her thing. She's cooking along though, by the looks of it. Like the email service I already know about, but so this looks like it went into the ticketing module and uh it added an initial ticket publisher by the looks of it, where it takes in the Kafka template, and then we can send this with the ticket ID, recipient's email, the customer name, summary of the ticket, which okay, and then when it was created and how it was tricked. That's pretty cool. So now the request is gonna okay. I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing here. That's pretty good. Okay. Triggered by ticketing. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead and run the project. Run the build entire project. Let's see if anything crashes. It's actually doing a pretty impressive job, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty impressed with you so far, June. Oh, cool. It went into the customer and it added something to the customer service. What do we got here? Okay, so we added a publisher in here. Send a welcome email. Blah, 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 blah. Cool, cool. Send ticket created. Cool. Cool, cool. It says it's done. All right, let's take a look at this now. Okay. So it did add to the customer service. Get out of there. Did add to the customer service. So let's take a look and see where it added this. So here's where she added the customer email producer. And down here, after we create a customer, it then looks like it's publishing the email, taking the email publisher, and it's sending off the welcome email. That looks pretty good. I like that. I like that. It's pretty simple. That seems pretty simple. Okay. Now, scheduling. I didn't ask it to do that. I didn't ask it to do that. Where's the next thing I asked it to go to? Ticketing. I'm going to check out the ticketing service. So inside of here, it did the same thing. It added a ticket email publisher to the ticketing service. And now after a ticket is created, it looks like it is sending off a email for the ticket created. Looks like it dropped the ball when it came to doing the same thing for or updating a ticket, and it looks like it dropped the ball when we close the ticket. This could be changed because I think this is just an analytic. Yeah, this is just the analytic, which honestly, all of this needs to be refactored and maybe be called something better than just, yeah, maybe something that's more descriptive, like analytics service ticket created, analytics service ticket claimed. Yeah, so we'll have to go through and rename some of those so that they look a little better. Honestly, though, I'm not too hurt, not too upset by this. Um, okay, okay. Let's see if it works, though. Okay, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. So we're gonna come into here. We're gonna kill everything. Run a clean. Now that we're squeaky clean, we're gonna run everything. And then I am going to create a new service ticket, I suppose, on my so let's open up our browser. Let's log in. Okay. I don't know why this does this on me, but it does. So screw it. We're going to do a creation and see if it sends me a welcome email. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to come down into my customer and I'm going to delete myself out of here. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to okay, so I'm going to clear this console because I want to know what the email does. I'm going to clear the website. I'm going to clear the customer. And I'm going to clear the ticketing. Okay. So now let's pop over to the website. We're going to register. So now I've registered. In theory, I should have gotten an email sent. So the website did this. Everything was, that was good. Email service, unable to load credentials from the, oh, okay. So I didn't give it any Amazon credentials. Ah. However, it is looking like it is good to go. It's just trying to retry. That being said, I am getting email failed, which is good. Cool. I am getting email failed, which is good, good, good. Because now I'm curious if that's coming through my analytic. Email sent, yeah, it's coming through here where it failed. That is pending and failed, pending and failed. Cool. So that's interestingly working. Our customer service, this did actually create me a customer again, so I am back in here. Same thing with my user profile, it did create me there, so I am back in here. To be fair, before I did have the front end, like the website, as a separate project for itself, and it used to be its own entity. There was a front end and a shared module. Then there was this back end and a shared module, and then all of the different services in here. There are many approaches that I could have taken to this. I could have went and I could have made all of these individual modules into individual projects and then brought them all in through submodules. using the Git module aspect like I did for the shared. Um, that way, everything was 100% decoupled from each other. But then the GitHub would also be riddled with about 8 or 9 different projects. Um, each it would have became a little bit more of a problem. But you'll see when I go into the deployment aspect how we're going to make every one of these services are going to be put into their own Docker image, or they're into their own Docker containers, and we're going to take advantage of Swarm and clusters to be able to organize everything and to kind of orchestrate everything. Um, there are intentional designs that are put in play to show you sort of how to get it up and working, but then um, I do intend to go over some of the pitfalls in some of the design patterns that were chosen from the get-go, and I intend to talk a bit about how they could have been improved and could have been done, and then show how we can refactor an existing project. And because I'll be honest with you, um, refactoring code and working with existing bad code bases is kind of common in the development project. If you ever get thrown into a code base, chances are you're going to have to flop like a fish and get to know it quickly. And you're also going to be a little lost. Um, you're going to come across some old code that's going to be, not the best. Whereas you're going to be most likely tasked with refactoring it to make it better. Um, you may or may not be given a monolithic application that you have to break into services. Um, all sorts of stuff. Microservices are definitely the way to go, and depending on who you talk to, um, the way you set up your project for microservices kind of varies from dev to dev to dev. Um, this is just a way that I thought would be best to present it to YouTube, so that I'm not constantly flipping through different IntelliJ windows and different projects and trying to keep it as, I'm going to say, simple as I could, um, before making it into something that is just this complex nightmare. Because complexity is great if it's simple. For those of you that don't know, Christian had asked me, with all due respect, wouldn't it be better to, if the project scope was smaller and subsequent projects can be larger? Um, okay, so modules are separate projects. Well, see, if I was to break them all out into individual projects, I would have to have an analytic project that imports the shared, a customer project that imports the shared, a customer device project that also takes the shared, and so forth for all of these, um, which again wouldn't be so bad for developers looking to get into it. Um, but if you have it done up with IntelliJ, I don't know what IDE you use, but if you do have it kind of broken down, if you do use this with IntelliJ, you can kind of customize your views so you can stay a little more on topic with things. Um, you can there's a few different I forget exactly how to pop things. Um, but there are different views you can do. I believe you can set up some custom. Forget how to do it now. Um, you can change up some views, but like the way these are set up is it's basically a project in a project with the modules. Um, So like me, to stay focused, I tend to just open up one thing at a time and sort of work inside of that one project here. Um, Generally, if I'm kind of like, um, if I'm not on stream and I'm actually like into code for the day, I usually have, I'll find the file that I'm starting with or the couple of files, and like I'll have one or two files opened up. Um, and then I usually just use the double shift search to navigate the project, and 9 times out of 10, I actually have that closed so that I honestly I don't see it. Um, if you hit double shift, you can search anywhere in IntelliJ, including non-project files and everything. So 9 times out of 10, it doesn't matter to me personally, like how projects are set up. And again, I just initially thought this would be the easiest setup for YouTube, so that I could just have everything in one place, and I'm not flipping through 10 different IntelliJ windows just to get things going. There's a Docker Compose file, which will get changed later, but this was just a quick way to spin up a Postgres database and a Mongo database, so that also so that we could spin up Zookeeper and Kafka. But it was just a quick way that people can get 4 Docker containers going locally, get the project up and going, clone it, and then all you need to do is enter in some environment variables. So, um, like you would go into one of these, and you would provide some environment variables for Sentry. Now, Sentry, if you don't know, is a logging platform. Not in a nutshell. Basically, anything that can go wrong in production. Let's say you have, um, let's say you have 20 different services going, and each one of those happens to be running in its own Docker image or its own container, or even on its own VPS, depending on how your organization, maybe you're anti-Docker and you have like 50 VPSs. But either way, if something goes sideways, you have to then SSH into umpteen different devices to then grep through logs and logs and logs to find out what went wrong. With Sentry, when something goes wrong and something gets logged or thrown to the console, say, it also gets sent to Sentry with some breadcrumbs, and you can then visually see it. Like I don't have anything going on with it right now, but if I was in here and I went into my Sentry project, went through all my logins, and if I was to pop into my Midnight Technician project, again, there's nothing in here right now, because it's not logging like production or anything. I believe I have it set up to not log anything in development, but it would populate some errors in here. Example being like this one here, where there was a couple of errors that came through in this other project that I have. It's been a while since I've worked on it, but it'll show you the issues, and then it'll list them down below. For example, you can click on it, go into it, and you can see how many times it got triggered. So it tells you, gives you an idea. This has been triggered 360 times by one person. I honestly don't know what the user means. I think that might be, I don't have advanced setup for that. But it lets you know kind of a timeline of how many times it happened, where it's happened, how it's been happening. Gives you the errors down beneath, so you can kind of follow the stack trace. as well as any kind of breadcrumbs that you set up, and additional information below. But this all comes from um, the software Sentry, which I was introduced to not that long ago, and I thought it was an absolute wonderful thing. I did some research on it, and honestly, it's a great tool for logging and getting it some analytic data about the errors and issues that go on in your code. So again, rather than having to be SSHing into 50 different machines for all of your different microservices and trying to figure out where the issue happened and grepping through logs and piping things into this, that, and the other so that you can look for this, and where it becomes a bit of a nightmare to manage and do, especially if it's like 3 in the morning. Um, it Sentry pretty much puts all that. If it logged to the console and logged to a file, it also went to Sentry. And then you have everything, every error in trends with all sorts of extra data, stack traces, and saves you countless hours of searching. So I decided to include that in this project as well, so that people can kind of get a feel for how to use Sentry, what it is, and whatnot. So again, it looks like I need to set up a environment. It looks like I need to set up credentials. Because by the looks of it, this, when it goes to call the send email, is missing credentials for I'm assuming, for the midnight technician at noreply.com. So that's something I'm going to have to dig into today. That being said, it is coming up to that time. So if you've, let me just switch up here. So if you'd like to continue following along, it is that point of the day where uh, my day is going to be starting soon. So um, if you want to follow along with the project, you can join our Discord community. You can get involved with it. You can jump in a voice chat with me and mute yourself up if you don't want to be talking. I don't care. It's okay. I totally respect that. If you just if you want to lurk in a channel with me and just kind of watch me code, I usually have some music going in the background as I go. You're more than welcome to join me. I am sitting in the igloo right now, just listening to music, drinking coffee, and writing code. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It really helps me get around the YouTube algorithm and get seen by more people. If you want to see more live streams and be notified when I go live, go ahead and hit that sub button, and make sure to keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and your coffee cup full. I'll see you in the next one, guys.